I will tell you how much the best post-apocalyptic isometric RPG games have earned. The top is compiled taking into account the release date of the game, the rating of the players, and the number of reviews. This is Be Indie. Thanks for the like and enjoy watching. Pathogenesis. Overcome is a story-driven action RPG with survival elements in a post-apocalyptic setting. Events unfold in Russia in 2023, in the Leningrad region, when the whole world was engulfed by an unknown artificially bred virus. The epidemic is spreading so fast that the survivors decide to leave the city and try their luck in the surroundings. But who would have known that the main threat would come not from the Walking Dead at all, but from those considerable survivors? Immerse yourself in the atmosphere of dark realism and try your hand with hardcore gameplay. The gameplay is multifaceted and quite complex, because here the tactical component comes first. Demonstrate outstanding strategic skills and carefully plan each subsequent step forward, considering what consequences this or that action will lead to. The game combines many mechanics that not only diversify the passage, but also add dynamics. Players will have to track all the risk factors of the same name, ranging from the state of the game character to the situation on the battlefield, where often the best solution is to use the environment to stealth to the control point. The game will be out soon. 7. The Days Long Gone is a fast-paced action-adventure game in which you play as a thief named Teriel, who finds himself in the most terrible place on the planet. P Island is a place where no one would like to be of their own free will, but our hero, a skilled thief and mercenary, ended up there not by his own will, but by the will of the demon, who now tells him what to do and where to go. Demons, strange mutants, guards and monsters are waiting for you in this adventure, but there is no time to look at them. You need to get out of here at all costs, and at the same time unravel the mystery of the artifacts found on the island. From the very beginning of the game, the entire island, all its locations and regions will be available to you. Where to go, what to do, who to kill, and who to talk to, it's up to you. But remember, your every action can have a direct impact on the fate of the hero and the whole world around him. The gameplay itself and the combat system deserve special attention. You have the right to independently decide which style to use in battles and the passage in general. You can stealthily sneak up on targets and destroy them, or you can go ahead, tearing opponents apart with the most powerful and destructive weapons. Although there is a third option. Try to complete the game without being seen by opponents at all. The local world is dangerous and insidious. It is divided among themselves by people of the highest social stratum, slaves and factions. Think well which side you would like to take. The game costs $29.99 and has earned $550,000. Colony Ship is a tactical role-playing game in which you have to go on a spaceship that has become a colonial and is sent on a centuries-old mission. The events of the game take place in a distant alternative future in which a certain cargo spaceship was converted into a colonial one. The end point of this mission would be to arrive on a certain planet where people could establish a new colony. But the inhabitants of the ship have been living their lives for a long time, creating coups, organizing wars among themselves, and living a full life, not even hoping that the ship will ever reach its destination. Well, you will just find yourself in the role of one of the potential colonists on this ship, and you will have to try to survive, and at the same time stop the chaos that is happening on board. The plot idea here is simply magnificent, but this game is not the only one that is special. In addition, you will certainly be amazed by the thoughtfulness of the gameplay. Here you will survive, complete numerous tasks, educate and raise your colonist, developing his skills and abilities that will be needed in the future. The game costs $34.99 and has earned $520,000. Wasteland 2 is a tactical role-playing strategy in which you will have to go to the apocalyptic world and try to survive there by taking control of a group of survivors. There you will find battles, survival, craft, travel, and more. The plot is quite traditional, as for this genre. The world collapsed. After the war, it was almost completely immersed in radiation. And now, in such and such an environment, a new civilization was born. Well, you, having taken control of a group of survivors, will have to go to this world and try to survive. But be careful, because during your travels, you will have adventures, numerous tasks, battles, radiation, and much more. As for the gameplay, it is primarily based on the role-playing component. Your squad will have ordinary survivors, but all with unique skills, abilities, and characteristics. And you, accordingly, will have to deal with them in full. That is, you will pump them, give them weapons, distribute roles between them, decide who and what equipment to supply, and naturally fight, controlling each of them separately. In addition, you will have the opportunity to individually work with each character, change the appearance, dress in the clothes that you think are most appropriate, adjust the height, and even choose the religion that the character will follow. There are just an incredible number of customization options. It remains only to dream up properly. The game costs $29.99 and has earned $2, 6 million. Underrail is an excellent role-playing action game with a top-down view in which you will have to go to the world of an alternative future, where people have long lived not on the surface of the planet, but deep underground, in underground communications, subways, and makeshift caves. The game's plot revolves around an extensive system of subway tunnels. Here lie the last pockets of the human race. Now the stations have been turned into cities, and the people in them live according to the laws of the wild. Whoever is stronger is right. You will play just the same for one of these residents of the subway. You are waiting for travel through endless tunnels, underground cities, meetings with different characters, battles with mutants and monsters, and much more. By the way, the list of enemies in Underrail is not limited to mutants and monsters. Also, every now and then you will meet bandits, marauders, and even cultists, whose cult is called the Institute of the Devil. One of the features of this game is that the whole local world lives its own life. For example, each character is a separate unit of a person with whom you can chat, discuss political topics, and more. Even an ordinary merchant will not mind talking to you on a variety of topics and talking about the past of this world. As for the gameplay, it is based on 3 important aspects. The first is the exploration of the world around you, during which you can find various loot, equip yourself with equipment, and even find weapons. The second aspect is communication with characters, NPCs, of which there are simply an unimaginable number in this world, while the third aspect is the battle with numerous enemies. In general, nothing unusual, but at the same time the game is addictive, because it has a great atmosphere. The game costs $14.99 and has earned $1, 3 million. Atom RPG. Trudograd is a great project that will surely appeal to all users without exception. It was developed in a successful mixture of strategy and RPG. You will need certain tactical skills, show your ingenuity, and use the right trick. It's been a long time. There is a gradual restoration of this world, but the problem reappeared. At present, everything is in grave danger of imminent annihilation. Take on the role of a brave hero. He must by all means prevent another apocalypse. To do this, he will need time and energy. Earth is threatened by a meteorite. He is fast approaching. In the event of a collision, everyone will die. You will become an agent of a large organization called Atom. It was you who managed to get the really important information. The city has a device. That is what can help people stay alive. You will need to go on a long journey. At every step you will be in danger. Try to collect as much useful information as possible. Answer a lot of important questions. Pass tests. Solve mysteries. All this is useful in order to find the device. You can save the world. The game costs $10.99 and has earned $580,000. Death Trash is an old-school isometric action RPG. The events take place in the distant future, many years after the end of the World War. The whole world is destroyed, but a new one has appeared on the ruins of the old one. The player himself plays the role of a wanderer, a lone soldier traveling through the endless post-apocalyptic wastelands. The game will have an exciting large-scale story that will guide the player through the picturesque locations of the huge game world. During the adventure, he will meet many bright heroes and villains, monsters, mutants, and many others. The story itself is non-linear. Much depends on the choice of the gamer. The protagonist has a large set of skills that can be improved or gradually pumped. The world is fraught with many secrets. Despite the fact that it has turned into a desert, the locations are very diverse. These are various ruins, catacombs, temples, caves, settlements, and natural areas. Monsters, robots, and other people can join as enemies. Moreover, monsters can be huge mutants like machines. Fortunately, the character can use long-range weapons, different types of melee weapons, and much more. There is a complex dialogue system and many other features. The game costs $19.99 and has earned $1 million. Encased is a top-down sci-fi adventure RPG in which you have to go on a long journey and learn how to survive in the vast open world. The game takes place on a strange planet where traces of a missing civilization have been discovered. What is this civilization? Where have all its members gone? And what caused her to disappear? This is what you will have to find out by becoming an employee of a megacorporation called Cronus. Adventures await you, a long and dangerous journey, a sea of interesting events, freedom and an open world, and much more. The gameplay in Encased is quite interesting and is based on a whole bunch of the most popular mechanics. Here you have battles with numerous enemies and exploration of a huge open world and adventures and dozens of interesting tasks and riddles with puzzles and much more. At the same time, every time you will open up more and more new opportunities and the game will only become more interesting. The game costs $29.99 and has earned $9 million. Atom RPG is a game inspired by such projects as Deus Ex, Baldur's Gate, and the classic Fallout trilogy. The place of action is an alternative world, where in 1979, due to tense relations between the USSR and the West, a nuclear war broke out. The conflict finally exhausted itself by 1986, bearing with it the covenants of the old world because humanity had to enter the new era. The gameplay begins 20 years later, when you control a member of the secret organization, Atom. Having spent all his life in his native bunker, he has to leave and go wandering through the post-Soviet wastelands in order to find traces of General Morozov along with his expedition. The project has absorbed all the most interesting things that can be found in its progenitors of the isometric adventure genre: the creation of a unique hero, a balanced passage system, acquaintance with mutated creatures and inhabitants of the Earth who did not have time to hide from nuclear warheads. Battles also take place according to traditional canons, step by step, and all this set to the author's soundtracks, numerous dialogues with NPCs and several ways to go through the adventure from beginning to end. The game costs $14.99 and has earned $3 million. Z-Zone is a pixel sandbox for fans of the post-apocalyptic setting. The zombie apocalypse caught up with you at the most unexpected moment, and now you are trapped in a quarantine zone alone with hundreds if not thousands of the infected. Try to survive among the spreading chaos and at the same time keep your sanity because dangers await you literally at every step. Build a base from scratch, make forays into nearby regions and defend yourself, otherwise you risk losing your life or joining the Walking Dead. Fascinating and multifaceted gameplay will be a real find for fans of the genre because you have to immerse yourself in the gameplay. Each new launch will not be similar to the previous one due to the procedural generation of the open world. Wander through seamlessly connected biomes, each of which has a number of features in store for you. In addition, it is possible to select or manually adjust the difficulty level so that each player finds something to their liking. The game costs $11.99 and has earned $380,000. Mutant Year Zero Road to Eden is an exciting tactical action game with a touch of strategy in which you will have to control mutant fighters and survive in a world full of dangers and threats. The game takes place in a distant alternate future. Nothing foreshadowed trouble, but suddenly, a war broke out between the two superpowers, which later grew into a full-scale nuclear confrontation. As a result, almost the entire Earth was destroyed, and people exposed to radiation turned into mutants. But many years passed, and the mutated people beasts survived. You will also have to take control of a girl with a dead but armored skin, a drake with an incredible ego, and a boar that can sweep away everything in its path. There is only one goal: to get to some mystical Eden, where you can find answers to all questions. But finding it is not so easy. First, you will have to explore the world around you in search of various lotions, resources, provisions, and more. Secondly, the new reality is filled with the same terrible mutants, but much more hostile. And thirdly, on the way you will meet bosses, which will be very difficult to deal with, but you are not unarmed. In addition to the fact that each member of your squad will have unique pumped abilities, you will also be able to use weapons. It can be a machine gun, some modified machine gun, or something else like that. Plus, you'll have an incredible amount of gear to choose from, weapon mods, skills you can learn through quests, and more. As for the battles, they are made in a turn-based style. You will have to think, use the landscape, find cover, and take into account the unique abilities of your enemies. The game costs $34.99 and has earned $7.9 million. Wasteland 3 is a turn-based combat role-playing game set in an apocalyptic world, the events of which were touched upon in the previous two parts of the series. This time, you will have to visit a new location and play for new characters. But first of all, it is worth noting the fact that the developers have made a lot of novelty in the gameplay of the new game. Firstly, now the action of the game takes place in the open spaces, many times larger than they were in the previous parts. Secondly, they added an innovation in the form of the influence of nature on the gameplay, which was not there before. Well, and thirdly, the system responsible for the battles was completely redesigned. AI became smarter. There were more opportunities in battle. The story in Wasteland 3 takes place in the expanses of the snowy former state of Colorado. Now there is snow everywhere, and from time to time terrible snowstorms also make themselves felt. By the way, without finding shelter, you risk being blown away and killed by a storm. To protect yourself and your squad, you will have to find shelters in time, make fire, and do much more. Now you will move around the map in a cool off-road Jeep, with a machine gun located on it, and not only. And by the way, the machine gun can be used even in battles with enemies, which in itself even sounds pretty cool. The game costs $39.99 and has earned $10 million. Eastward is an action-adventure 2D RPG in which you'll have to embark on a challenging journey through a terrifying apocalyptic world and rescue a girl in trouble. The events of the game take place in the world through which you actually go on a journey. Well, everything starts to happen at the very moment when a miner named John accidentally discovers a girl in a mysterious place in need of help. Now he will have to try to lead her through dangerous locations with only one goal, so that she gets to the place she needs. But it will not be easy to do this. There are no weapons, no provisions, and monsters at every turn. How will you deal with all this and how will you act? All this depends only on you. The gameplay here is incredibly simple, but offers many interesting and unusual mechanics. But if we talk about the main thing, then it is worth saying first of all that you will have to travel to different locations and explore them up and down, fight monsters, collect items, get resources, survive and solve puzzles. Nothing complicated, but the game is still captivating. The game costs $24.99 and has earned $6 million. The Ascent is a role-playing sci-fi isometric action game in which you have to go to Veles, a place where real chaos and lawlessness is going on. Arm yourself to the teeth with everything you can and go to Veles. It was once calm and order reigned here, but after the departure of the corporation that controlled everything changed. Now chaos reigns here, the underworld has rebelled, competitors are tearing this place apart, and it's up to you as a mercenary for a vanished corporation to try to sort it all out. But don't think it will be easy. Now only the strongest survive here, and you will have to become just the same. The gameplay here is generally quite simple and is based on the processes and mechanics traditional for the genre. You will explore locations, fight enemies in real time, participate in spectacular boss battles, complete tasks, and upgrade your hero. But with all this standardity, the game boasts a bunch of interesting gameplay elements. What is it worth pumping? The game costs $29.99 and has earned $4 million. Fallout 2 is the iconic sequel to the legendary RPG that tells of the terrible events that have overtaken the Earth in the future. There was a nuclear war, and almost the entire population of the Earth was scorched by the war. True, there are people left in the world who were able to survive this terrible event, and now they have to rein in science again in order to survive. However, now everything will have to be built on terrible ruins that do not promise a bright future. In this game, you will take on the role of a chosen person who has lived in a simple settlement for a long time. After some time, the elder of the tribe received information about an incredible invention called Gek, which is able to revive the scorched territory and allows you to farm again and prosper. If you find this device, then the most difficult times can be experienced and the problem of starvation can be solved. Only at first, you have to go on a long and unpredictable adventure that will give you the opportunity to get to know this unique world. A huge dangerous world awaits you in which you have to survive, help other people, and collect information about this incredible device. But do not rush, as there is no evidence of the existence of this invention. Thanks to Stepan for supporting this release. There is also the game The Fall, Last Days of Gaia, but I didn't talk about it because it's not on Steam, and I couldn't help mentioning Fallout. This is such a rich and interesting top. Write in the comments which game you liked more.